How we doing, everybody? And welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Tuesday, August 13th, a fantastic Tuesday here in the great state of Wisconsin, or wherever you are tuning in out there. I hope it's a great day there as well. Not a lot happening in the world of Wisconsin sports, but we got a lot to talk about. Lots to talk about, not a whole lot happening, right? That makes sense. That makes sense. They're Brewers. They're in the middle of a series with the Dodgers right now, as I'm watching right now here. Brewers are down 4-0. Hopefully they got a little bit of a comeback in them here. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about a 1-0 hole that the Brewers will start themselves in to start this series against the Dodgers. Outside of that, a little bit of Packer talk today, a little bit of flying around a little bit everywhere and seeing what there is to discuss. So right away, I want to look at the Wisconsin's men's basketball team because they did make a solid add to their recruiting class. They added in Ricardo Greppi is his name. He was over in Italy. He's from Italy, played for Verona in the Italy Next Gen League, appearing in 8 games and averaging 9.1 points and 8.6 rebounds per contest. According to what Guard had to say there, he said, "We are excited to add Ricardo to our program with his size, strength, and skill set. He adds great depth in our front court. As the landscape of college athletics continues to shift, we are in strong position here at Wisconsin, both academically and athletically, to attract some of the best student athletes in the world." Yeah, if they're looking for, I can see what he's saying. If they want academics, right? If they want to go for academics, and the programs are solid, right? But man, looking at that, I just read it back to myself. To attract some of the best athletes? No, because it's a money game now, right? It's a money game. So academics kind of fly out the window when it comes to the money game of this. So all in all, like Guard said, a great ad here. Size, strength, skill set. This guy, he seems like he's going to be a solid backup right away at the center position and then possibly be able to transition into the full-time starter once Steven Crowell is gone, right? Once Steven Crowell has graduated out of the system, now you have a guy like Greppi to be able to step in, hopefully, and take that spot. Getting after the boards, that's a big thing that the Badgers, I feel like, have lacked in years past, was rebounding from the big man position. Somebody in there who's going to play tough, who's going to play strong, because you look at the Big Ten, Zach Edey's gone now, right? And the days of Kofi Cockburn are over and Trace Jackson Davis are over, but there's always that big man, right? There's always that big man in the Big Ten that seems to give the Badgers fits, gives everybody fits, right? Purdue's going to find another one, right? They're going to maybe not to the size and stature of Zach Edey, but they're going to find another one. So it's how do the Badgers respond to these programs who are adding big guys, adding big pieces there? You look at Florida Atlantic's coach is heading to Michigan now. So, their hope is that he's going to draw in some good recruits there. There still is some solid big men around the Big Ten. A lot of younger guys, not a whole lot of age to them there. Like we saw with Edey, with Kofi Cockburn in the past, Trace Jackson Davis, Hunter Dickinson, right before that. You can go through a laundry list of big men to walk through the Big Ten. Hopefully, Greppi is going to be a guy to kind of settle down the interior for Wisconsin and be that almost like a Chris Vogt right away for Wisconsin. If you remember Vogt coming in and being that solid backup who wasn't going to be your big scorer, but was going to be that solid guy to come in, play some defense, get some boards, control the paint up until you brought back in, say, Steven Crowell or whoever you're looking to control the paint in that situation. Crowell's more of your scoring big, whereas Greppi right away, yes, he can score, and if this guy is going to be better all the way around, then Crowell right off the bat, fantastic. I'm not going to bat an eye at that, but what I'm going to say is, if you're looking at maybe a development of this guy right away, if he can step in and be a big rebounder for Wisconsin, be a big presence in the paint, not get bodied around, you look at Nolan Winter last year for Wisconsin, he kind of got pushed around down there in the post. I thought at times he did his darndest to stand in there with some of the bigger guys in the Big Ten and make his presence known. I am not going to be the guy to sit here and tell you that Nolan Winter did not give it his all when he was in the paint, but he just wasn't big enough yet, right? He had some developing to do. And that's the same thing that I think Greppi's going to face here, but Greppi's coming in with a little bit of a bigger stature to him. He's a little bit bigger. So hopefully that translates to easier transition in that standpoint and not as much, having to build him physically, but maybe just his skill, right? He's coming in with a pretty good skill set. I mean, I saw a little bit of highlight videos on him. He has national team experience. He played in Italy there, played in the under 18 European Championships, and then he was in the 2022 under 18 Championship. So he's back-to-back years playing in the under 18 championships there in Italy. So, I mean, he's got some experience playing for that national team over there. And like I said, in his last season there, averaging a pretty good numbers there, 9.1 and 8.6 rebounds per game. That's, solid numbers. That's a solid average right there between the two. So I like the ad. I really do like the ad there. He had looking at it, he had two standout performances on the season last season there, 17 points and 12 rebounds against Buriska. I'm bad with pronunciations. We know that, right? And he had another one with 17 rebounds and 8 points and 2 block shots, beating Virtus BO in that one. So, he's had some pretty good performances, some pretty high scoring and high rebounding games for him there. So that's great. That's great to see, is the Badgers adding in a guy like that. That's what I think the missing piece is, to be honest. A physical big. Not a scoring big, not a guy who's going to be flashy. I want a big man who I can put in there against the next Zach Edey of college basketball. I can throw him in there. He's going to body him up. He's going to give me rebounds. He's going to do his thing. That's what I want, and that's what I think the Badgers are going to get in Ricardo there. So love the ad there. Love the ad there by Greg Gard and his coaching staff. He joins that 2024 recruiting class there for the Badgers. So great stuff there coming out of Madison on that one there. A little bit of other Badger talk. I guess you could put it into the Badger talk there. And that is Braylon Allen got his first action there with the New York Jets against the Commanders there in that preseason game. And pretty solid day. A solid day for Braylon Allen with the Jets. I know it's not, we really don't care that much because we really don't care how well the Jets do, but I still want to see some good stuff out of Braylon Allen. And 6 carries for 54 yards for him there, and he had a long of 24, and he was bruising. I saw one run that he had straight up the middle, and he was bruising, he was barreling, and that's the guy that I remember. So hopefully, that's a good sign for Braylon Allen. Hopefully he can stick on to that roster and maybe, make the 53-man roster. I think he will make the 53. Hopefully get some good playing time. He's going to have Breece Hall's going to be in there. You got to remember that. So I don't know, he's not going to be the everyday starter for this New York Jets team, but maybe a solid number 2 back potentially at some point there. It all depends. It all depends there on it, but I could see him stepping in there, potentially being that number 2 back for him at some point, but right away being the number 3 maybe in that rotation with Breece Hall already as the number 1. And then whoever knows what the Jets are going to do. That's a mess of an organization out there. We all know that. That's a mess. It's going to, we're waiting to see what Aaron Rodgers can do, right? We're waiting to see what Aaron Rodgers can do. And, if you like Aaron Rodgers, if you hate Aaron Rodgers, hopefully he can help Braylon Allen out to be a solid back at the NFL level there. So sticking with the NFL, I want to stick in the NFL a little bit there. We'll get some Packer talk here. We'll also look at another, picture I saw, image I saw, whatever you want to say, on social media there. And it was talking about the NFC North, NFC as a whole this upcoming season, and their predicted records. This comes from ChatGPT, or GPT. I don't know what that is. I'm going to be honest with you. I see it all the time now, but I don't know what that is. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up here. ChatGPT. What is ChatGPT? It is an open AI. Helps you find answers, inspiration, and be more productive. That's what it tells me is ChatGPT. I still don't have a clue. I guess maybe you're out there saying, how do you not know what that is? That's self-explanatory. I don't know what it is. I have no clue at all. But we see this chat GPT predicts its 2024 NFC records. Okay. So on top of the list, the San Francisco 49ers 12-5. Now, San Francisco, solid team yet. I mean, even if Brandon Ayuk doesn't, if they don't figure out Brandon, excuse me there, if they don't figure out Brandon Ayuk, I still think that's a solid team. But you still got Christian McCaffrey. You still got, a great defense. You still got Kyle Shanahan calling it, right? I think they'll get Ayuk figured out. And if they don't, I think they're going to find a trade suitor who's going to send back a decent wide receiver in return. So I think they'll be fine. He's still got Debo. You still got George Kittle. I mean, that's still Trent Williams still on the offensive line. You still got a solid team all the way around, right? But San Francisco 49ers, 12-5. Okay, that's realistic. Eagles, they've changed a lot, right? So 12-5 for them. Not a bad prediction there. Detroit Lions, 11-6. I don't think that's bad whatsoever. I don't think that's a bad prediction of where Detroit could end up this season, right? Dallas, 11-6. They get CD figured out. They get the stack thing figured out. Maybe they let it ride to free agency. I don't know. Then Dak's at a contract year, right? So Dak's going to be trying to ball out. He'll be trying to ball out in that instance. The Seattle Seahawks, 10-7. Okay. A lot of faith in Seattle. A lot of faith in Geno. A lot of faith in Seattle to figure something out. The New Orleans Saints, 10-7. Okay. Now we're getting crazy with it. The Minnesota Vikings, 10-7. Okay, now we're banking on Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy, who I believe J.J. McCarthy's banged up right now. But we're banking on Sam Darnold to somehow, some way, possibly, maybe, just all of a sudden turn it on after years of not being able to, right? So, I mean, the Vikings outside of the quarterback position on the offense, they have pretty good offense, right? You have Addison. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Hockenson. Like, this is a good offense. It's not a bad offense. The offensive line, question marks. Defense, it seems like it's always the thing that holds back the Minnesota Vikings. But at the quarterback position, that's like, I forgot, but I'm pretty sure that's the most important position on the field. And there is still a lot of question on who's going to start week 1 and if they're even going to be ready to go. So 10-7. 9-8 for the Atlanta Falcons. 8-9 for the LA Rams. 8-9 for the Chicago Bears. 8-9 for the Carolina Panthers. 7-10 for the Buccaneers and 7-10 for the Packers. 7-10 for the Green Bay Packers there. Wow. If that ain't a shot at Green Bay, I don't know what is. That's rough. 7-10. After completely running the table last season there, returning virtually everybody off of that same team who went to the divisional round. And if you ask 49er fans, they would even tell you they thought they were going to lose to Green Bay. A lot of people out there still think that game should have been. I mean, you look at that one. You look at, we talked the other day about Team USA coming back and winning that game against Serbia. Look at that game against Packers and 49ers. Outside of 2 minutes of that one, the Packers had that game. Now, it's ifs, ands, and buts about it, right? It's ifs, ands, or buts, but that tells you how close this team was to getting over that cusp. Now you bring back virtually everybody off of that same roster outside of Aaron Jones, but you add in Josh Jacobs, right? You add to the defense. You bring in some solid rookies. You return virtually a majority of that defense, right? The defensive front's back. You look at the linebacker room. Quay Walker has another year of experience. Isaiah McDuffie's back. Right? You look at the back end of the defense, you added Xavier McKinney in the safety room, who it could be undoubtedly one of the best defensive players in the league when it's all said and done. And yet, every prediction and all these predictions, I just didn't even mention Jordan Love in that entire thing. I didn't mention Jordan Love in that entire scenario. And yet, I still am telling you right now, this Packers team got better. They got better. And yet, I'm looking at all these predictions and everybody talking about Green Bay and everybody talking about the NFC North. And they're like, I don't know, the Packers, blah, blah, blah. It's like, do we forget what this team looked like down the stretch last year? When they put it all together? When Matt LaFleur was just flourishing, right? I can't remember if I was listening to Burkhardt, if it was that Burkhardt guy, or who it was. And he said you could tell a lot about a coach from their red zone. From what they do in the red zone, what they draw up in the red zone. Matt LaFleur had a pretty good success rate in the red zone last year, drawing up plays, making it work. That tells you, I mean, to me, this Packers team is all the way around a well-run, oiled machine that's ready to go. So at 7-10, that's rough. That's rough there. I mean, they have them finishing with the same record as the Washington Commanders out there. Now, I don't know about you, but I think the Packers will finish with a better record than the Washington Commanders. I think they'll finish, honestly, I'll go through the list. Packers, I think they'll finish with a better record than the Buccaneers. The Carolina Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, they have an 8-9. Packers will finish with a better record than the Carolina Panthers. The Bears, Packers will finish with a better record. The Rams, that one could be a toss-up. I think the Rams might finish better than 8-9, to be honest with you. But I think the Packers will be better than the Rams. Falcons, yes, sir. Vikings, 100%. New Orleans Saints, yes, sir. Seattle Seahawks, I think so. Right? I think so. I think the Packers are going to be top 5. Like, I really do truthfully believe they will be top 5 in the league when it's all said and done. It really, this list almost made me laugh. It was almost like when Nick Wright was on FS1 and he was telling me that the players that had the most to lose by Team USA winning the gold for the men's. And number 1 on his list was Michael Jordan. Because then they would have this gold medal for LeBron, and it would hang over the top of Michael Jordan because they'd look back at his dream team, and they would say, who did nothing for his dream team? But LeBron did it all for this one. I was like, dude, shut up. Shut up. Just, that guy drives me up a wall. I don't know if you guys out there have seen anything from Nick Wright or, listened to him, but he hurts me. He hurts my head sometimes just to listen to this guy, just to listen to him. I get, sometimes sports guys, sportscasters, whatever, their goal is to get hot takes, right? Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith. Sometimes I think they talk completely out of their behinds because they want to get a spark out of you, right? I think that's the greatest thing. Sometimes when I listen to sports shows, I want to hear stuff like that. Because then, honestly, as much as I think that he is a complete doorknob, it it brings me back. Because then I sit here and I'm like, yeah, this guy's a doorknob. And then I keep listening because I want to hear what he has to say next, right? Because it's so stupid. So, that it almost is like, a lot of people, they'll listen to a sports show and they'll give up on it after 10 minutes because they're like, oh, I didn't agree with the first thing that he said, so why am I going to listen to the rest, right? But then all of a sudden in the 15th minute, they like something that he said, right? So I absolutely, I dislike listening to some of these guys, but it's also what brings me back to listening to these guys because of the hot takes, because of the hot takes they bring. He brings me a lot of hot takes because he is a doorknob sometimes. Just the things that he says, it's just like, dude, come on now. Like, just be quiet. Just be quiet. This is ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who probably feel that way. Right? There's a lot of people who, when he said that, he's like, yeah, this guy's right. I mean, Michael Jordan doesn't look as good anymore if LeBron wins another gold medal, right? And there's a lot of people out there who are like, dude, just be quiet, right? Just be quiet. Like where I'm talking from right now, just be quiet. So, I mean, just one of those things. Just one of those things there. But, I mean, honestly, that's the predictions from ChatGPT. This new thing I just found out about that I'm going to have to do more research on just baffled me in this instance there. So, with that, let's get to a little Packers. I did see some news coming out of the Packers there, and not really out of the Packers, but just some tidbit to talk about there. Packers quarterback Jordan Love has spent time working with rookie quarterback Michael Pratt, helping Pratt's film study and coaching him in camp. So, listening to Michael Pratt, he said he'll be like, hey, Mike, who's the O-line got? Who are they working to? What's the protection? I mean, just asking him these simple questions, right? Not really kind of flushing him out because, Rodgers, Favre, those two saw this rookie coming in. They didn't want nothing to do with him. Because they're like, he's here to take my job. I'm not really going to worry about coaching this guy up. Love's taken in the opposite direction right now. He's saying, hey, I see this young guy who I can influence who, needs some help in the room, needs some help, figuring everything out here at the NFL or at the big level now, right? I'm going to help him out. And that's awesome. That's awesome to see there. So hats off to Jordan Love in that instance there. I've seen a lot of reports or a lot of articles about the Packers and the Cowboys swinging a deal to trade CeeDee Lamb to Green Bay. And I've seen a lot with Christian Watson going down to Dallas. I've seen a lot of those. You know what? CeeDee Lamb is a dynamic wide receiver. Would I hate CeeDee Lamb on Green Bay right now? I don't think, truthfully, I don't think the Packers need him. I think he might be a headache, right? I think he might be a headache. Look at him with Dallas right now. Now, this is Dallas trying to play hardball, too, with a wide receiver that thinks he's worth a lot of money. So, I mean, looking at his stats, he's worth a decent chunk of change, right? But do you want that headache in Green Bay? I don't think so, truthfully. Like, I look at this receiving core for Green Bay. Now you're going to have Watson, Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, right? Those are your big four. And then your five is most likely going to be Bo Melton, right? Bo Melton, unless he has a complete meltdown. Bo Melton's going to be your number 5. Number 6, if you go with the number 6 receiver there, I think you're looking at Malik Heath or you're looking at Dubose now, right? You're looking at Dubose or you're looking at Malik Heath there to be on that number 6 spot if Dubose does make the 53 and they do decide on a 6th wide receiver. If he does, he gets in, Malik Heath. So looking at that receiver core and listening to Matt LaFleur when he said, looking at, all these reports of the Packers having a number 1 wide receiver. Matt LaFleur said, I want to vomit every time I hear number 1 wide receiver. It drives me crazy. That's something you guys talk about. I think we've got a lot of them. I love that statement because that tells me Matt LaFleur thinks Wicks is as good as Watson. Watson has his own he has his own categories where he's better than Dobbs. Dobbs has his own categories where he's better than Wicks. Wicks is better than Watson in these ways, all the way around. Like they all do their own thing. We've looked at this preseason and we've talked about Dobbs. We've talked about Watson with some big plays. We've talked about Wicks with some big plays. The guy that we haven't talked about a lot is Jaden Reed. And Jaden Reed, I feel like, is going to be a dynamic version, and he's a Randall Cobb, right? He's a Randall Cobb. Now, is he the flashy guy who gets all the names and he gets to be talked about all the time? No, we don't talk about him all the time. As we know, not a lot of people are talking about Jaden Reed. But Jaden Reed is that underlying factor. He's going to be that slot guy that everybody's going to forget about because we're so much into what Watson's going to be because Watson hopefully stays healthy, right? Dobbs, we're like, oh, Dobbs is going to be the next. Could he be the next Devontae Adams? Could he be that next big number 1 wide receiver? And we look at Wicks and we say, Wicks might be the underlying guy. He might be the biggest guy in this, in this rotation of wide receivers. He might actually end up being the best one in this wide receiver group. And we all forget about Jaden Reed. Reed was phenomenal last season. I still remember that catch he had against Minnesota where I believe he scored a touchdown there and broke a couple tackles along the way. Like it was just come across the field, catch it, go. And it was just everything about it was fantastic. And a lot of people forget about Reed. So would the Packers need CeeDee Lamb on this? I truthfully wouldn't want him. Now that's kind of crazy because you look at it and you say, look at this guy. Like he's a phenomenal wide receiver. He's going to automatically put you in. Just say the Packers traded Watson and some picks and they got CeeDee Lamb. Do you know what NFL Network and everybody would be talking about now? Chat GBT or GPT would be telling you Packers are going to be one of the best teams in. They're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. They're probably going to win the NFC. They're just going to go completely nuts about it, right? They're going to go completely nuts about it. And I really don't think that's going to be that big of a game changer for Green Bay. I think they have all those pieces that CeeDee Lamb has in-house already. I think Wicks gives them that deep ball threat, as we saw, right, against the Browns there, while also that catchability. He's got that ability in traffic to be able to haul it in. Same with Dobbs. Watson, he has the ability to blow the top off of defense. Reed, he's a little bit everywhere, right? He's a little bit everywhere for you. And then Bo Melton is a solid number 5. He's a solid number 5. And Dubose, if he keeps playing like he is, this guy could work his way into that number 5 spot. And Bo Melton might not have much to be able to do about it because Dubose has just played phenomenal in that first one. Now, am I saying that's the way that's going to completely shake out? Maybe not. Maybe it's not the way it shakes out. But all in all, CeeDee Lamb to Green Bay just doesn't work for me. I am I'm not in on that one. Not in on that one there. What I am interested in is the kicking situation. Do the Packers go with Carlson or Joseph? Joseph has looked better in summer, but do the Packers go with their draft pick or do they go with Joseph? I am really interested to see how that one plays out because, I mean, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's going to be definitely interesting to see what the Packers decide. Have they seen enough out of Carlson in this summer to say, we trust this guy? We trust this guy to take him into a season because Joseph has been better in summer. So you've seen it out of Joseph now in the summer. Do you trust that to carry over or do you trust Carlson to be able to figure it out in the second half? That's going to be something to keep an eye on there in that kicking room. Also the quarterback room. I just talked about Michael Pratt before there. Do the Packers carry 2 or 3 quarterbacks on the roster going into the year or do they stick with just 2? I think that's something to keep an eye on there too, is another one of those battles between Clifford and Pratt to be, first off, who's going to be the number 2? Secondly, if we do go with 2 guys, are they going to stick with Michael Pratt or are they going to stick with Sean Clifford? I don't know. I could see them carrying 3 quarterbacks. To be honest, I could see them carrying 3 quarterbacks. But what will Green Bay do in that situation? I definitely am carrying 3 quarterbacks. That's just me. But we will see. We will see how that all works out there. Also, I talked about the A.J. Dillon there situation yesterday. A lot of fans not very pleased with A.J. Dillon in his first performance. You know, really watching the highlights back, a lot of short, I don't know what I was even expecting out of A.J. Dillon in his first performance. Like, he didn't have that many carries, didn't have a lot of opportunity. I don't know what I was even expecting out of him in that first performance there. So, A.J. Dillon, but now with the injury to Lloyd, kind of opens up the door for A.J. Dillon to, get more reps, be out there more. Maybe we see a little bit more out of him there. And we don't know what happens with that Lloyd injury. He's been banged up for a little while now. Do they actually get him back and healthy for a long stretch? That's what is going to be something to watch out for there. So A.J. Dillon, to the fans out there who didn't want A.J. Dillon anymore, they wanted him to be released on Monday. I'm going to say good luck with that one now. I'm going to say good luck with that one because I just don't see it happening anytime soon with that there. But with that, let's get to the fantastic sponsors of this show here quick. Let's get to the fantastic sponsors. First, Game Day Supply in Alaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Alaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. Marshfield Motor Speedway, located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Get down there this summer yet. Tons of family fun to still be had. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better than a great summer day or night down at the track. Marshfield Motor Speedway is there. Your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy Sue or Anna to find your dream home or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Sports Scene, sports cards, and memorabilia located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need from sporting cards to memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. And also Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether it was at work, whether you're pushing lawnmower, playing with the kids, who knows? Maybe you were weeding the garden. Whatever you were doing, you felt something tear, pop, didn't feel right. You went to see your doctor. Your doctor said you should see a physical therapist. Get yourself down and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He'll get you right. He'll get you back to work, back mowing the lawn, back playing with kids, weeding the garden, whatever you're doing. He'll get you back there feeling better than ever. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin there. So with that, let's get to our sport fact of the day here. We got to get to our fact of the day. So our sports fact of the day. Autumn is out again, so I got it today here. So English cricket team beats Australia by 1 wicket in a famous victory at the Oval in London. Just finding that one out there. Didn't know that. 1908, future Baseball Hall of Famer Cy Young's career is celebrated with special day in his name in Boston. He pitches briefly for Red Sox against an all-star team there And in 1906, Chicago Cubs pitcher Jack Taylor ends a string of completing 202 MLB games, 187 complete, 15 relief against Brooklyn Superbass in third inning of an 11-3 win at Washington Park in New York City there. So there are your sports facts of the day right there. I mean, not a whole lot happened. Not a whole lot happened on August 13th in the history of sports. It's surprising. It is definitely surprising there in that right. So with that, let's get to some Brewers. Let's get to some Brewer talk to wrap this one up. So Brian Hudson does return from injury. Brian Hudson returns from injury. The interesting one, D.L. Hall was optioned back to AAA. Now, Hall is out of options after this. He's out of options, so they utilize this option now. Maybe bring him back up for the stretch run. I thought he was solid in his first outing back at the big league level, so I thought maybe it was a little bit early on that one, but I also said the same thing about Aaron Ashby when he had one solid outing when they brought him back up, and then we saw what happened at AAA level. So maybe they saw something in D.L. Hall they didn't quite like yet, but that's all we know in that aspect is Hall was sent back down to AAA. J.B. Butkus was injured again. He got injured again. So he's working his way back. He's been out for a while now. I can't remember the last time I even, recall seeing J.B. Butkus on the mound for the Brewers. And working his way back, and all of a sudden, he just has more issues with it, and they terminated his rehab assignment. So I believe it started as a shoulder injury. Now it's an oblique injury. So it started as a shoulder. He's working his way back from the shoulder injury. Now it's an oblique injury. I don't know if we're going to see J.B. Butkus at any point this year back from injury. Blake Perkins, he also hits the injured list for the Brewers there. Tyler Black, we know it. He's back up with the crew right now. Probably going to see a little bit more of Black this week here going up against the Dodgers because a lot of righties going for the Dodgers here. Looking at some other moves, Anoli Paredes, something that I did want to see. He was actually slated to begin a rehab assignment, but he was supposed to start it later this week. Ended up now he's getting transferred to the 60-day IL. So kind of an interesting developing story there. I don't know what's happening with Paredes there, but he's heading to the 60-day IL. So not going to see Paredes for a long time now. Not going to see him for a long time now. That was an arm I was really excited to get back at some point because I did hear he was going to start a rehab assignment. He was slated for it, and now we're not going to see him get it. So definitely interesting. Definitely interesting in developing news there. I did not see that one. Trevor McGill is another one there. He's supposed to he threw live batters on the 12th of August there, looking like he's going to have a brief minor league rehab assignment any day now, and then he's going to be back up with the big league club. So that's good news. Get Trevor McGill back there. Rob Zestrinsky, really uncertain on him on there. He began his rehab assignment on August 9th with AAA Nashville. Not sure when we will see him back up. So J.B. Butkus, we know about him. He's going to be on that 60-day IL. Anoli Paredes, he's on the 60-day IL. Outside of that, that is about it on the injury front. So hopefully the Brewers start to slowly get healthy here. Hopefully they slowly start to get healthy again because getting some of these bullpen arms back, getting some of these arms back would be huge for this Brewers team. Would be definitely huge. So, like I said, watching this Brewers-Dodgers game, now 4-2. Hopefully, we do see the Brewers get back into this one, hopefully win this one. I'm seeing Braden Pozimski. I can't remember how the heck to say his name, from the Golden State Warriors. He was 2021 Wisconsin Mr. Basketball. Interesting. I did not know he was from the state of Wisconsin. So that is an interesting thing that we just learned tonight. I don't know exactly how to say his name. So if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. If you don't, look at the Warriors roster and go find him on there. It's P-O-D-Z something at the end. I don't know. But it's like Podzinski or something like that. You probably out there, somebody's like, dude, I just know how to say this guy's name. We all know I'm bad with names. So come on now. But we're watching this series here. And my biggest question of it was the Brewers go into this one. They're a half game back. a half game back of the Dodgers heading into this game. Now, barring what happens in this one, we'll change that if the Brewers win, if the Brewers do lose this one. But just judging off of that, can the Brewers actually catch the Dodgers or keep pace with the Dodgers? Watching this game here, I think the only thing that hurts the Brewers is something that has hurt the Brewers mightily for, about this whole season. And that is the home run ball. The home run ball has hurt the Brewers all season long. This Dodger team likes to hit home runs. That's their big thing. They're a home run hitting team, right? You got Mookie, you got Freddie, you got Ohtani, you have Hernandez, you have Will Smith, right? We saw him hit four bombs, 4 consecutive home runs against the Brewers when we played them out in LA. Excuse me there. This is a home run hitting team. So the only thing that I think really outside of, pitching to pitching is kind of an interesting one there too, because I was just about to pull up the Dodgers pitching staff there, kind of look at some of their stats there in that pitching department, if I can find it here. Here we go. Got to trust good old ESPN with this one here. Looking at the Dodgers pitching stats, so we look at some of their starters here. Glass now, we won't see him in this series, but looking at some of the other guys. So you look at Gavin Stone there. He's got an ERA sitting at 3.71. James Paxton, he's at 4.43. They did add Jack Flaherty. We're not going to see Flaherty in this one, but they did add Jack Flaherty at the trade deadline. Yamamoto, he's on the shelf. Outside of that, you look at Clayton Kershaw coming back. Now, they have some bits and pieces in there. I don't think the pitching staffs is where it kind of separates himself out, or separates, that's where it separates these two teams. I think it's lineup to lineup. I think when I look at this lineup for the Dodgers, with just some of the pieces that they have in it, the star power. I think the star power is what separates these two teams. But I don't think it's as deep as lineup to lineup, because I think the Brewers lineup, we've seen them score runs. We know this team is a run-scoring team. We know they can score runs. Can they keep pace with the Dodgers in that aspect? I think so. For some reason, we can't hit slow and we can't hit junk, so Clayton Kershaw kind of ate us alive, right? Kind of ate us alive in his outing. Freddie gets himself into trouble, right? And that's something I watched with Freddie there, with the Brewers starting rotation. Freddie, it really sucks, because if he was more efficient, right? You look at efficiency of guys. If he was more efficient with his pitches, he gets in a lot of deep counts. And deep counts are killers for Freddie, because then that pitch count goes through the roof, and then we have to go to the bullpen early, right? He could be having a good outing, 2 runs given up, whatever it is. He could have a good outing. And we have to go to the bullpen in the 5th because Freddie's got 100 pitches already. And maybe you don't have to go to the bullpen, but realistically, most starting pitchers only go 100 pitches, right? That's just how it goes. So Freddie's efficiency is a lot of what holds Freddie back. He works himself into deep counts. He gets himself into trouble. He walks guys. When he walks guys, then guys end up hitting home runs off him. Then we have this whole cluster, right? And it usually starts in about an inning. It's about in one inning where all the trouble happens for Freddie. I've always said it. It seems like it's one inning a game where Freddie seems to have a blow-up, and if he could avoid that one inning, then Freddie Peralta could probably win a Cy Young, right? This guy, he's a darn good arm. We saw his velocity last night. He was showing a lot of life. He had some good, his breaking stuff was working, and the velocity was up, 98 miles per hour. I saw him touch a couple times there. Was he outside the zone with it? Yeah. He was pulling off a little bit, but Freddie's a guy, if they can get that efficiency, if they can just get him to be more efficient with him. Now, I know he switched to just being out of the stretch now. He's not going in the windup anymore. He's going more into the stretch, trying to work on his mechanics, trying to correct his mechanics. Hopefully that helps him, and he starts to adjust to that, because it is an adjustment, right? You've been pitching out of the windup for how long, with nobody on. Now you're going to the stretch only. that was something that did help Corbin Burns, right? Burns used to pitch out of the windup, but he couldn't figure it out in the windup. He went to just the stretch. That was great stuff for him, right? So we saw it out of Burns there. Some guys do pitch better just out of the stretch. Maybe that's something that's going to be for Freddie. Maybe that fixed the mechanics. Maybe that gets that efficiency better. Maybe that leads to better and longer outings for Freddie Peralta. I think that's something I really am interested to see, is if that does help him there. So outside of that, can the Brewers catch the Dodgers? Yeah, I think they can. What doesn't bode well for the Brewers is that they do have the 8th toughest schedule left in baseball. Now, the Cardinals are up there. They have the 3rd toughest schedule in baseball left. Cubs have the 27th toughest schedule in baseball left. And the Dodgers have the 15th. Now, the Dodgers do have a date. They play Cleveland yet. They got the Phillies for 1. They have the Orioles for 3. They got the series against the Brewers. Then they have the Padres. And then they're going to have the Diamondbacks in there too. Brewers, they face Cleveland. They face the Phillies. They face the Dodgers here. They have 7 against the Diamondbacks. They have 2 against the Braves. And then they have 3 against the Mets. That's tough. That's a tough stretch of games. That's a tough stretch. This week is a tough stretch for the Brewers. So, I mean, man, oh man. Can they catch them? Yes. I think it's going to be hard. The Dodgers, if you're a Dodger fan, you're banking on getting healthy. I think they will get healthier here. Watching this umpiring crew that the Brewers and Dodgers have, it's like they want the Brewers to lose. I think sometimes when I watch the Brewers and Dodgers play, it's just like they just want the Brewers to lose. That half swing that Mookie Betts just had there in the 7th inning that they called the ball because they said he didn't go. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? How much further can he go, right? The bat's going to hit him in the back or what? Like, how much further can this guy go? Just ridiculous. Just Pat Murphy's probably going to get tossed. Pat Murphy's probably going to get tossed here pretty soon. But I think they can. I'm going to go with the optimistic side. I think they can. I'm hoping that, the Brewers just win the NL Central and get into the playoffs, but I think they can catch the Dodgers. I really do. I think they can catch the Dodgers. Brewers just got to get hot and they got to stay hot, right? They got to get hot and they got to stay hot there. So I saw one last thing to wrap it up here. I saw a graphic. It was team OPS compared to ERA. So basically it's good hitting, good pitching, right? If you got good hitting, if you got good pitching, you're on one side of the graphic. If you got bad hitting and good pitching, you're on this corner of the graphic. If you got bad both, you're in this corner. If you have good hitting and bad pitching, you're in this corner of the graphic. And the farther you work your way down, well, either the worse or the better you are, right? So, looking at the Brewers in that standpoint, they're actually in the quadrant of good hitting, good pitching there. OPS is higher. You look at their OPS, they're sitting right about 800 there in OPS. Just looking at this graphic here, I don't have the number up in front of me, but they're sitting around that 800 mark there in team OPS. And team ERA, they're sitting right around that 3.5. Solid spot to be in both. Now you look at the teams that are around them. Kansas City Royals, they're around there. The Padres are actually higher in team ERA, or lower in team ERA. They're sitting around 3, and they're sitting at that 800 OPS there. Diamondbacks right on the borderline. They have an above 850 OPS, but they're sitting above a 4 team ERA. Worst team, if you had to guess, the Chicago White Sox. They are above a 6 team ERA. They are below 600 in team OPS there. Doesn't surprise me with that one there. And one last thing to wrap it up. The Brewers did move up, or they stayed kind of stagnant in the team power rankings. Baltimore, Phillies, Yankees, Dodgers, Brewers. Those are your top 5 in the power rankings, followed by the Guardians, the Padres, the Twins, the Diamondbacks, and the Royals there to wrap up that power ranking list to start this week. So with that, that's about all I got for the day. It was a great show. Like I always say, if you can, go down, leave us a review, comment, subscribe to the show. Let other people know about the show, too. Please, if you can, let other people know about the show. Let them know that, hey, good show, check it out. Maybe if they want to get fired up about something, have them tune in this show. I think it'd be great for them. And if you can, go down to the bio of the show. It says send us a text message. Click into that. You can send us fan mail on there. You can let us know what you're thinking about Wisconsin sports, national sports, what your thoughts are, anything that we talk about, anything that you want us to talk about here on the show there, and anything like that. So with that This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. But until I talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river.